A new law in Georgia that created a commission to discipline and remove prosecutors is receiving major pushback. Now, a bipartisan group of 4 district attorneys in the state have filed a lawsuit against Senate Bill 92, calling the legislation unconstitutional.
This law is not just an assault on prosecutors. It is an assault on our democracy.
Tia Mitchell joins us now. She's a Washington correspondent for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. Tia, prosecutorial overreach is a hot topic nationwide at the moment. And so at first blush, this looks like a good thing that could have bipartisan support. But as you and I have been discussing, this is also a bit more complicated. It's mired in politics. Talk to us about what Georgia's attempting to do, how the commission would work, how it would discipline prosecutors, and how it's really, I guess, falling along some party lines as well.
Yeah, it is and it isn't. So I think at the core of what Republicans who control state politics in Georgia are trying to do with this new law is create a new line of checks on local district attorneys, which are elected positions in Georgia. So what would happen is starting in October, this 5-person panel, if a prosecutor is accused of misconduct, they would review the case and, could make a decision over whether that prosecutor should be disciplined all the way up to removal. Now, again, like you said, on the surface, it sounds like a good thing. Someone who's not doing their job well should be removed. But we got to remember the politics of it. We're talking about a Republican Party that, when it comes to some members of their party accused of wrongdoing, they've said the court system has been weaponized against them, and it's not fair because we should let the voters decide. Donald Trump being the main example. They're saying these indictments of Trump are wrong. If Trump is not fit for office, voters will decide in November 2024. But when it comes to prosecutors that they believe essentially are too soft on crime, that's the biggest kind of concern raised in this new law. These prosecutors are elected too. You would imagine that if voters think their local prosecutor is too soft on crime, they would be removed from office. But what Republicans in Georgia are saying are that we'll review it, and we could possibly make that decision and discipline or remove those prosecutors outside of the election cycle. Now, the concern from these prosecutors themselves comes in a bipartisan way. Of the 4 prosecutors that filed suit, 3 are Democrats, 1 is a Republican. And that's the argument they're making, is that they are elected. And if it comes down to not misconduct or breaking the law, which already there are places in Georgia law to deal with prosecutors that are accused of misconduct or breaking the law, but they're saying this new commission is an overreach and takes away the authority of voters.
Well, Tia, Georgia's top prosecutor, Attorney General Chris Carr, says that the state will vigorously defend the law in court. Tell us, what arguments is the state making for why they believe the law is constitutional?
Yeah, well, number one, they're basically saying it's a law that we've done, not targeting anyone specifically, but just it's about a new line of oversight. It's about ensuring that prosecutors meet the standards set out in state law. So they believe it will pass muster. And they believe that there's not much of a case that the prosecutors have other than they just don't like the new law. So that's what people like Attorney General Chris Carr are saying. And again, they're saying it's about the fact that some state attorneys have indicated that they will not enforce things, for example, low-level drug offenses. For example, enforcing the new abortion ban in Georgia, that they might not, for example, prosecute cases that are brought to their attention that they believe are relatively small potatoes in the grand scheme of crime in Georgia. Now, again, generally, district attorneys have a lot of leeway in deciding how to bring charges, who to bring charges, even though the state law gives them a framework for what charges to bring. District attorneys have always had discretion as to what charges they bring and under what circumstances. But particularly after the overturning of Roe v. Wade and Republicans in Georgia trying to put on strict limits to abortion, they don't like the fact that in some parts of Georgia, that new abortion law or constraints on abortions might not be as enforced as in other more conservative places.
All right, Tia Mitchell, thank you.